control the game, don't take our chances, and it ends up costing us. It's the same old story every week at the moment. A 95th minute equaliser, which seemed somewhat inevitable. To help us review the Ipswich game, I'm delighted to say that Paul Castle's joining us. Paul, I'm going to describe you as a patron, a fan, a supporter of the podcast. Anything I've forgotten? All round good bloke?
A Saints fan to my heart.
We'll go with Saints fan. We'll get to you in just a minute.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Steve, it's a first point, but to be honest, it did feel like another defeat, didn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a blow, but I think, I mean, you look back at the losses that we've had prior to that, and you could kind of pinpoint a moment where everything went wrong. Whether that was a substitution, one sloppy mistake, this sort of thing. And actually, we were kind of fine. The first half was actually the area, the part of the game where we kind of played the worst, and yet we got ourselves into the lead and also hit the woodwork. But second half, having got pretty much control of the game, really, Ipswich didn't really throw anything at us that we didn't feel entirely comfortable dealing with. And then suddenly a shot that's going straight at the goalkeeper flicks off the arse of Joe Aribo and finds itself right in the top corner. It's just the way things are going at the moment. It's kind of unfortunate, probably preventable if you're being hypercritical. I think when I always think when you've got all 11 back for any set piece. I mean, I know every professional team does this for corners just as a matter of course, and I'm sure there's some sort of tactical logic behind it. But surely you leave someone at least on the edge of the area for that sort of knockdown when the cross comes in. If a defender does win the first ball, if the ball's going in that area, you want someone there, because if the attacking side's got someone there, then it's basically a free shot. I mean, there must have been 6 players running at him, but none of them were able to get there in time. And ultimately, that has cost us 2 points, which, I mean, I think that would have put us, 15th? Such is just the ludicrous nature of this, the start of this season, where, I mean, you've now got 6 teams without a win after the first 5 games, which is the first time that's ever happened in Premier League era, certainly. Which suggests that, I mean, for everybody saying that we're kind of dead and buried after 3 games, no, I mean, there's a lot to play for this season. And what I saw yesterday, I think, was pretty encouraging in terms of the number of chances we created. That midfield trio looks excellent.
Yeah.
The only problem is that Adam Lallana is not going to be able to play more than probably 65 minutes every week.
Yeah.
And it was, we lost a little bit of control when he went off, but not enough that it damaged us. I didn't think. I thought we were still well in control, but we didn't quite have the same sort of dynamic ability to play between the lines, because his movement and his confidence to play those little passes in tight spaces, we don't really. Les Ogachukwu doesn't really have that yet. May develop that over the course of the season. But yeah, it's just not quite there when he's not on the pitch, and it's fascinating actually, given that, I mean, he's had 2 starts in the space of a week, but probably hasn't started a game since April. And yet he basically ran that game for an hour. I thought he was superb. Him and Dibbling were head and shoulders above everybody on that pitch for an hour or so. And we kind of, I think ultimately we needed to be 2 up. I mean, if we got that second goal, and we had the chances for it. There was no way Ipswich were coming back from there. They were crap, and unfortunately, we've once again let them in the back door at the last. So yeah, very, very frustrating, but just hope it doesn't kind of deflate people.
It's what hurts even more, doesn't it? It's the manner of the defeat, or manner of the dropping the points so late on, wasn't it? Glenn, it was, almost it was the perfect start, really. That ball from Lallana, only he would spot that and play that. Great finish from Tyler Dibbling. It was the stuff of dreams, really. That first sort of 5 minutes.
Because we'd spent. I mean, it was against the run of play, if anything. If you can have against the run of play after the first 5 minutes, because Ipswich dominated the ball to start with, and they were more physical than us, and I think that certainly helped them, especially in the first half. And it took us to half time to get to grips with it. But yeah, to score that early on is something you're never really expecting, certainly from this team. And it was good play all round, because it wasn't just Lallana's pass; it was Fraser closing down a clearance, I think, and then Fernandez kept the ball alive. Lallana's pass, and Dibbling made it look so easy, but there was a lot to do, because it was the way he took the ball sort of like on his back foot away from the defender.
First touch was incredible.
Yeah, it was. It's just a superb finish. The whole thing there. So to go 1-0 up should have been the springboard to go on and win it. And as Steve said, we created a couple of chances, but unfortunately, got unfortunate with the one where Cameron Archer hit the post. Possibly could have taken it before he took the last touch around the keeper and tried to lift it, but he tried to do that in the second half and hit the keeper. So win some, you lose some, depending on your choices. So that's the worry, is how many goals we're going to score. And I think if you were a neutral watching that game, you'd be watching two sides and thinking neither have quite got the quality up front to survive. I think we've got quality all over the pitch. Thought the defence played well. All over the rest of the pitch, rather. Thought the defence played well. Back four looked very solid. Charlie Taylor, I thought, did well defensively. Harwood Bellis had obviously his best game of the season in a back four where he has to take more responsibility. Thought they were all good. It's just I think both Saints and Ipswich are going to struggle to score enough goals unless something clicks or someone suddenly, finds a new level and manages to knock in sort of 10 to 12 goals over the season. So, but it was very nice to score the opening goal and that early. And I honestly thought we'd done enough. Because Ipswich had done nothing until 94 minutes. But Ipswich are going to keep going to the end. And
it was their whole last season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I sit directly behind that post. And when he hit it,
as soon as he hit it, you knew, right?
Yeah. As soon as you hit it, well, the first it happens in slow motion, doesn't it? And you kind of think Ramsdale's saving that because he'd seen it all the way, and then it takes a deflection, and it's just like it's horrible, absolutely gutting to see that hit the net. And but there you go. That's the margins in the Premier League, and we've got to get used to it quickly.
I'm going to ask you in a minute, Alfie, about Kyle Walker-Peters, because that was the talking point before the game. Paul, your thoughts on the game yesterday? Have you seen enough this season, or as a fan, are you a little bit worried like the rest of us?
Well, I can't lie. I'm concerned, and annoyingly, because I don't watch Match of the Day if we lose or don't do too well. So I didn't actually know until this morning that there was a deflection for where I was sat right over the centre line. It just went in. I just thought he hit a worldie. So when my son told me that it actually was a deflection, it was like, oh, for God's sake, that makes it worse. I gather from what I've now seen that Ramsdale had it covered. I don't know whether and you confirmed on where he was. So that now I've found that out, that makes it even worse. I just felt, apart from that first 20 minutes when we couldn't get out of our own penalty area, I just thought, Jesus, where's this going? And having scored a goal. But then gradually I felt we got control. I thought Fernandez was absolutely outstanding. I can't believe how good that kid is. Definite upgrade on Alcaraz. And I love Charlie. I really did. But definite upgrade. But then I just thought, like Glenn said, I just felt, we've done enough. We're going to see out. We're going to see out. And I sat next to my son. And I said, going to be okay. And then because the ref sort of blew the whistle not long before the final whistle, everybody around me just emptied. And I just thought, we're winning 1-0 and you're just leaving. What is going on with these people? But that said, Then there felt like 7 minutes. Oh, there felt the inevitability. But I don't know whether it's me that spotted it or you've probably seen it. I just felt that the previous corner to the corner where the goal was scored, they tried that sort of clever little move where and no one was on the edge of our box to run out. And it felt like we'd had the warning, and then it did it again. And I just thought, why didn't we spot that and run out and just have one person on the edge of the box? Could have gone anywhere. But I think we were so pleased that Ramsdale had tipped that one over the bar. It was almost like, oh, we've done enough. We've got over the line here. But a second goal going in, I don't know why Archer didn't shoot first time round. 2-0 up, I think we would have been okay. But disappointing, and also sort of disappointing all these people around me. The negativities, shouting at people and whatever. But we all get frustrated, and we want to sort of do well. But equally, I just thought, why do people leave before the game's ended when you're supporting the team?
Age old question, that one.
Yeah, I think it was
Well, I'm sure the players don't see that, but equally, nervousness goes around the ground, doesn't it? So you say, oh God, you get, oh, come on.
Well, Russell Martin was talking about the anxiety in the team, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So that anxiety
And the
that
crowd.
kicked in, and the crowd, and he's talked about tension before, and that nervousness, and it definitely has it does have an impact. We'll talk about some of the standout performers in just a moment. Alfie Kyle Walker-Peters being dropped was the headline news. I think he kind of said it was tactical, but do you think that might be something to do with his contract? Because I know that he spoke about it in a press conference this week. He's definitely off by the looks of things.
Yeah, I mean, look, what he said in the build-up to the match was that Kyle Walker-Peters is not signing a contract now. He obviously hopes that changes before the end of the season, but it doesn't sound too likely, especially if they don't finish in the Premier League again. It was then reported by an outlet somewhere else that talks had broken down. It was exaggerated. I felt that it was exaggerated a little bit. Ultimately, they've been talking over the summer, and just clearly they decided that it can't be done. I don't think that was the reason he was left out of the team, but obviously it wouldn't be a massive surprise. The thing that Russell Martin said after Everton on Wednesday was that, or on Tuesday rather, that he did have something to think about, and the players who played, gave him a lot to consider, and ultimately did end up starting Charlie Taylor, did end up starting Ryan Fraser, so clearly it wasn't lip service. It surprised me. I don't think Kyle Walker-Peters has been bad this season. I saw people in the responses saying that he had been. I don't agree with that. I think in the first couple of games he was a major outlet. But Charlie Taylor offers something a little bit different, maybe with set pieces, defending them, which obviously it's 5 goals now. It's been the bane, or is it 4? It's been the bane of them, and taking them as well, balls into the box. And obviously we saw that at Everton, and he was involved a lot in the first sort of 25 minutes. I mean, the first half, the real only chances Ipswich had, in my opinion, were from down the right. It seemed to be they were getting behind him, they were crossing the ball in, but he was in a battle the entire game. I don't think he necessarily lost that battle with Wes Burns, so it wouldn't surprise me if he kept his place next week. But it just seems a big call to take Kyle Walker-Peters out of the team. And Glenn, I think, might have tweeted before the game that he did that against Ipswich last season as well, the only time in the entire season.
Which he says is a coincidence.
Yeah, maybe it is, but maybe it's something he just doesn't like about Wes Burns. He wanted someone a bit bigger. I don't know, but yeah, it did surprise me that.
I think did you touch on it last week, Steve? Did you mention it before? We talked about that balance about the left-footed left back, and obviously they weren't expecting Kyle Walker-Peters to be here, which is why we signed a right back. And actually, he's kind of hit the ground running, and he's difficult to take out the team now. So I know, Steve, you sort of mentioned about that balance, and by and large, it kind of worked.
Yeah, I think so. To the extent that actually come the Bournemouth game, unless someone picks up a knock in training, I would imagine we'll go same again. Because the balance was a lot better. As Alfie said, Ipswich put a lot down their right hand side, our left. But by and large, Taylor stood up to it. And I think just having that natural balance and knowing and being able to go around the outside just offers so much more benefit. And also, as I mentioned last week, that the Man United game, Amad Diallo had, like, the ball was switched out to him on that side so many times throughout that game, first and second half. And he had 20, 30 yards of space because Walker-Peters had tucked in, because he's naturally right-sided, and therefore he's just kind of attuned to thinking that he needs to be towards that side of the pitch. And unfortunately, it doesn't give us the balance that we need. It was kind of fine for a few games last season in the Championship against Championship players. But when you're coming up against Premier League opposition, you're going to come a cropper if you've got something that's that kind of emphasised where you're lacking the shape and balance, I think.
I think it's a problem though going forward if they can't fit Kyle Walker-Peters and Sugawara into the team, because clearly Sugawara has been one of the biggest threats down the right. But I just feel that, you know, as long as there hasn't been some kind of serious breakdown in relationship, I just feel you can't name a team without Kyle Walker-Peters regularly, in my opinion.
It just seems inconceivable compared to where we were like last year, and the fact that he stuck around and helped. Glenn, we need to talk about Aaron Ramsdale. It's been a good week for the goalkeeping unit, really. We'll get on to penalty shootouts later, but it certainly kept us in the game with a number of decent saves. And did you see the knee slide after the goal as well? That was nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been one to get very involved with his own supporters, and you know, trying to. I think he bit off more than he could chew, trying to get noise out of the chapel in the second half. But yeah. I mean, he's. You know, we said it all last week. Really, he's an excellent goalkeeper, and he's a big personality, and he will win us games this season. And he very nearly won the one for us on Saturday. Again, not the goal, not his fault. And picking up on Paul's point, he 100% would have saved it. He's seen it all the way. I mean, that's an issue. Why did he see it all the way? There should have been someone in front of it closing down the. But he saw it all the way, and he was already across. But the deflection just took it a yard further than he could possibly get to. So no, I thought he had another excellent game, and it's just a shame that we're to various degrees letting him down in these games at the moment. But as I said last week, as long as he keeps his head up and we can see progress. Another thing that was interesting I thought about yesterday's game is that we were a lot more pragmatic. There were quite a few long balls played out by Ramsdale, and it highlighted the good and the bad of it. Because if a long ball out is something for Ryan Fraser to compete in the air for, then it's probably not going to end too well. And that happened a few times. A few times he picked out Cameron Archer's feet, and he kind of didn't really show great ability at holding off defenders and holding the ball up, because he had the guy with the long hair, Greaves. He had him right up his backside most of the time. But
that looked like pre-rehearsed moves. That looked like a very specific move where he was just taking a touch, and a midfield runner would be alongside to collect that ball to then move one way or the other.
Yeah, it was the idea was I think the one touch layoff to Fernandes, and then you move forward. But and they carried on doing that when Ross Stewart came on. And we'll probably get onto this later. I know everyone's just going to say, well, Ross Stewart gave away a free kick, but if you focus on that one negative thing, then yeah. But I thought he had a decent game when he came on, and the ball started to stick up front a little bit more. So that's an interesting one for some games. I think where he might, if he can keep himself fit, obviously he might be preferred as an option to try and get us further up the pitch, sort of thing. But no, I think back to Ramsdale. It's just repeating what we said already. He's an amazing signing for us at this level. I still don't know why he did it. I hope he doesn't regret it by the end of the season.
I was going to say a big moment for him, Glenn. That potentially he gave the ball away in the first sort of 10 or 15 minutes on the edge of his box, but he then got down to make the save immediately after. And I was about to say, it's a big moment for him, but I don't think his head would have gone, really. I think he would have been able to bounce back from that. But all the same, it was a big moment.
We're just expecting his head to go, aren't we? Because that's what we're used to. Paul, I guess the $6 million question is where the goals are going to come from. Do you think we've got enough? Ross Stewart obviously coming in.
Costs more than $6 million, mate, unfortunately.
Well, I don't kind of want to be negative, but I do worry that we've got a championship front line in the Premier League, and ultimately, they're our team. You've got to support them and give them as much encouragement as possible. But did I see Diaz do anything? I don't think I did. Archer, I think his head went after he missed. And then, what I really wanted to see, when Armstrong came on, I just thought, right, hair about the place for 20 minutes. just go for it. Doesn't matter much. You wear yourself out. But he just looked lost. He just looked like disinterested. And I
think he touched the ball.
I'm not sure he did.
Not sure he touched the ball in 10, 15 minutes that he was on.
But just charge about the place, show a lot of, but from not only from a spectator point of view, but also from your own, just get in there and get stuck in, get a booking. Who cares? Just go for it. But I just can't see where, as Glenn said earlier, I just can't see us getting more than 1, if not 2 goals in a game. And at this level, it's not like last season when we were 2-3 down against Huddersfield and we came back and roared back and got 5. It's just not going to happen this year. We've got to take our chances, and if we don't take them, we're going to be, holding on at the end like we were.
Have you seen enough of a player in Cameron Archer, though? Do you think it's just a case of once he gets a goal in the league, there's going to be the rest will come?
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be negative about one of our players, but I just don't see it. I think Glenn said Ross Stewart came on and the ball suddenly started to stick, and then we're up the pitch. I just kept thinking, just get up the pitch. Stop them coming onto us, because it felt like when we had the ball in our own 18-yard line, they just sat and waited for us to make a mistake. Whereas when you get up the pitch, they've got to have to think about, are we going to get turned? Where are we going to go? And I just felt that, the front three charge about the place like their front three did for a while. Just, get on with it. But Diaz didn't look interested. He just seemed to hang about on the other side of the pitch. And yet, poor old Fernandez, and in the middle, was running his heart out, wasn't he? Same with Downs; they were getting in there, they were charging about, And I'd like to see just a bit more of that. And if you show commitment, then everybody will be behind you, even if you don't score. But his head went, Archer, and I just felt, perhaps, I don't know what you do. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. You've got to give him the next game to say, come on, we believe in you. But if he does it again, it's twist or stick, isn't it?
Yeah. There's not a lot of people waiting to come in either. Alfie, I just want to get your thoughts on that midfield 3 as well, with Downs, Fernandez, Lallana. We talked a lot about the midfield this season, but it seems like we might have actually, got the 3 that we need now.
Yeah, I think they probably have, to be fair. And maybe a week ago, you'd have said that midfield 3 could have been Flynn, Downs, Leslie, and obviously Matty Fernandez, who I totally agree with Paul, by the way. He's a massive upgrade on what they had in that position last season. Particularly Charlie, but everybody else as well. In my opinion, he looks fantastic. But Lallana's the metronome. I mean, he's the one that makes it all tick. And the fact that he's actually setting up goals, and he's I saw people frustrated about the fact he came off after 60 odd minutes or whatever it was, and he clearly can't do 90 minutes. And Russell Meyer said that to me on Tuesday night at Goodison Park. I asked him, is he ready to start a Premier League game? And he said, yeah, he is ready. Suggested he will, but he can't do 90, and that's a problem for Saints at the moment, because. Although, Steve, you said that you didn't feel that Ipswich did anything really to get back into the game towards the end of the game, the way they played did change. And when Adam Lallana came off, you could see actually that Ipswich had almost double the amount of time they had on the ball. The sort of pressing intensity for Southampton totally changed. And then naturally, when you're protecting a 1-goal lead, that Southampton defensive line starts to come back and back. And they were making much more long balls in the last 15, 20 minutes, like Glenn alluded to. And I just feel that players like Lallana, they're calm, they're composed. They've obviously, you heard him talk at Goodison Park all throughout the match, how loud he is, instructing the young players around him, just making sure everyone keeps going, keeps doing the right thing. So you lose him, you do lose a lot. So they've got to find a replacement for him. But 100% next game, you have to start Flynn, Downs and Lallana, and Matty Fernandez. It's a no-brainer.
It's just strange that we're sat here talking about Adam Lallana being one of the best signings. At the time we were like, he's coming in, he's going to come off the bench, and here we are like, well, we can't possibly go into a match without him.
It's incredible. It's a statistic that me and George were talking about on the way back from Goodison Park, and he tweeted yesterday. I think Tyler Dibbling was 3 or 4 months old when Adam Lallana made his debut for Southampton, and now they're the 2 best players in the team. And what a player to have instructing Tyler on the pitch.
We honestly thought back in the summer, Glenn, that maybe Brereton Diaz was going to be the one that we would get excited about, and it's just not really happened, is it?
No, not at all. He's, what's he good at? When he had his spell at Sheffield United, when he had his spell at Sheffield United at the end of last season, you kind of looked at it: 6 goals in 14 games, playing for a terrible team. He must have something about him, and you see him, and he's a big lad, and he's got this sort of like bustling style, usually cutting in off the left wing and in it with his right foot, but he's. We were always going to be a little bit struggling up front because we were, if you look at the players we had Ross Stewart, who's been injured for 2 years, Adam Armstrong, who previously had always struggled at this level and has struggled again this season. So I was hoping that Brereton Diaz would certainly add something. It was a little bit higher level than what we had, but at the moment he hasn't. And losing your place to Ryan Fraser, who is not fit and is not really a goal threat himself, is a little bit of a worry. I think he should be taking that as a bit of a wake up call. And I think Ryan Fraser played because he works incredibly hard defensively. And that was something that also went when Ryan Fraser went off, because he went off in the same substitution as Lallana going off. So it wasn't just losing Lallana, it was losing Fraser as well down that left-hand side, because Brereton Diaz doesn't work nearly as hard. He gets involved when the ball's in the vicinity, but he's just not shown enough for me. I think there is more to come, but it's the player's got to make it happen. And it looks to me like he's kind of coasting through games at the moment, and we need more from him than what he's shown so far.
I can think of one at Newcastle, which I think was blocked. Has he had a shot from inside the box this season?
We had the header at Newcastle that he blazed over as well shortly after the red card,
that's right.
which would have been the ultimate in trolling if he'd scored that.
In the second half, he had that one that was blocked behind as well, and there was a rebound.
Yeah.
But has he had another one since? Because a lot of his goals for Sheffield United last season, it was basically just the ball popping up in an area inside the box. He was by far.
So he had one. So he had one yesterday where Fernandez, I think it was, cut it back to him, but he cut it back to him like at real pace. So it's quite a difficult one to control. And he's put it. It's probably 2 feet wide and 3 feet over. Decent effort, but one you'd like him to get on target. At the end of the day, with that one, if he got it on target, he probably scores, because I don't think the keeper would have seen it.
Yeah. Let's try and finish on a positive. I know it's hard at times. Paul, we've been speaking every week about Tyler Dibbling and how brilliant he is, and he's winning Player of the Week every week. Let's hear your thoughts on him, and let's finish with a bit of a positive, because it was a great goal, and it's something to be really excited about.
Okay, there is one positive I think that we've learned as a team. We're getting a bit more savvy. I did like the fact that when Ramsdale went down at about 40 minutes in the first half for a bit of a tactical, 2 minutes, because we were getting a bit pressed. And I think that we're beginning to suss those kind of. I thought that was a good thing. Sit down, take a break, come back, result. So that was a definite positive. But Dibbling, great. He's 18 years old. Blimey, wish I was 18, but there you are. And I just thought, he had the crowd on his feet when he picked the ball up. He's 18. He did seem to fade a little bit, and he was doing his stretching exercises, wasn't he, for a few minutes when he got chopped down. So I think that, he's a 70 minutes man at the moment. But what a great take. What a great goal. And the best thing, the most positive thing, I completely forgot about VAR. Jumped up with my son, celebrated. Didn't think to look at the linesman or the VAR or anything. I just thought, we're still back in the championship. We can celebrate the goal. And then I suddenly thought, shit, VAR. No, it's all right. It's okay. So that's a positive. We can celebrate that. But Dibbling, no, top marks. He's. I just hope we can keep him and he doesn't get his head turned and he suddenly turns. Stick with what he is. I think, good lad.
Stick with what you know. Anything else on Ipswich before we move on?
For me,
anybody?
Oh right. Well, it's a point, and we're off the mark. We're running, we're going, we've scored. We could have won, we should have won. So let's take that into Bournemouth. They don't look that brilliant, Bournemouth. So let's hope we get
moved up a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's staggering.
Yeah. I was impressed with Flynn Downs driving forward from midfield.
Captain as well.
Yeah, when we talk about the Everton game, Russell Martin said afterwards that there was a lack of intention to go forward at times in that game, and obviously it's a changed team and all that sort of stuff. But I found there was a bit of a lack of will to go forward at times, especially in the second half yesterday. And it only seemed to be when Downs had the ball that we were actually looking to go forward. Ryan Fraser, I've spoken about, he drives you. I don't think he took on the fullback once after the first couple of minutes. He waits till the fullback gets long. He goes forward, the fullback gets alongside him, and then he turns back, and we're back at the halfway line. So that is something that we do need to do a little bit more, is to actually try and commit defenders a little bit instead of having the first instinct of turning around and going backwards. We did that a little bit too much yesterday, but I was impressed with Flynn Downs for trying to drive forward with the ball. And Matty Fernandez, I thought was, I mean, everyone will talk about Diblin because he scored. I thought Fernandez was our best player because he just always looks to be positive when he's got it. And surprisingly, for a lad who's not that big, he's not afraid of getting stuck in either, which is why I think he will stay in the team. You know, when you've got a sort of like a young, slight of build player, there's always the, there's always after 5 or 6 games, there always seems to be this, well, let's take him out and give him a little break. But Fernandez seems to be made of quite strong stuff, so I can see him. I can see him staying in unless he loses his form. But he does look like a very good player.